I picked up this generator for $25. It doesn't run, and it's a little bit dirty. It's been sitting for years and years. The first thing I tried is to put a little gas in the carburetor and pull it a few times. It did start up for a second, but it wouldn't stay running. In the first few minutes of troubleshooting, I did just establish that the fuel system was the problem. I wanted to take this apart right away and just start figuring out if the carburetor needed to be rebuilt or just cleaned thoroughly. First, I removed the choke control linkage. Then I also removed the rubber vent tube coming from the crankcase that goes into the air filter housing. Next, I removed these 3 screws holding on the air filter assembly. Next, I removed the Phillips head screws, the large headed screws that are holding the gas tank to the carburetor. There are 2 nuts and washers holding the carburetor onto the studs on the engine, and also the spacer for the carburetor. This is where I noticed the first major problem. The throttle was actually stuck in the open position, fully open. This is the governor linkage here, and that should be able to spin freely just to the right of where you see my needle nose pliers. That was completely seized, so it would not close, which would cause the engine to over rev and possibly damage it. Here's what the carburetor looks like fully removed from the engine. It's absolutely filthy and needs a good cleaning, and obviously that frozen throttle needs to be addressed as well, and there's some other problems here too. Whenever I have an engine that doesn't run because of the carburetor, I always go ahead and start spraying carb cleaner through all the passages just to make sure everything's flowing. And right away I noticed that this bottom jet would not let any carburetor cleaner through, which means that it was definitely clogged. So I went ahead and grabbed a flat blade screwdriver and just unscrewed this. It just goes counterclockwise and comes right out. Once the jet was out, I held it up to the light to see if I could see through it, and it was blocked completely through. There's lots of corrosion and varnish built up inside of it. So I went ahead and used a little trick that I do. I take the cap to the carburetor cleaner can, and I actually fill it up with the carburetor cleaner a little bit, and then I'll soak a small jet like this or another part in it. That's just an easy way to make a small bath for it so that it can soak and let the solvent start to work. I let it sit there for a couple minutes before I started cleaning it out manually. After a little soak, I went ahead and started cleaning it out with a thin piece of metal. And you can see here on that black piece of metal all the corrosion that was coming out of the inside of it. That's what that green goo is. There's also a lot of varnish too that the carburetor cleaner ate right out of there. I had to use a push pan and some real thin wire to get in there and get it all cleaned out. And the best way to test it is to hold it up to the light and see if you can see through it. Then squirt some more carb cleaner through it as well. Next, I reassembled the engine, just put the carburetor back on and the air cleaner assembly. Everything was just the reverse of removal. Of course, I cleaned everything up really good before I put it back together as well. Now it's about time to start it up and see if it goes. So went ahead and started pulling to see if it would start. And before I show the video of it running or not running, I just want to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. If you like this video and even comment below on some other things you'd like to see me fix or work on, I'd really appreciate it. It helps me keep this little hobby going, and definitely would appreciate a like or a subscribe.